What's up, beautiful people? How you doing? I'm gonna give me a little jingle. My friend Tiffany, she got her a jingle. I liked it. It was nice. I think I'm gonna give me a little jingle at the beginning of my something. I don't know. But anyway, I just wanted to jump on here because I'm one of them kind of people who I read the Bible and I try to look and see how I can apply it to my own life. I really believe a lot of the things that are in the Bible can be related to what we go through on a regular basis, on a daily basis, right? So as you can see, the title is talking about entitlement and envy and how they kind of run in the same circle. So this morning it was crazy. I got up this morning and I was reading my Bible and I came across this story that I had never heard before. But it was so entertaining because it was better than any reality TV show that I've seen, even though I don't even watch reality TV. But any reality TV show that I've seen, it was way better, right? So I'm going to try and break it down to y'all the way I understood it because it was pretty cool. So it comes from 1 Kings 2:13 through 25. And David is king and he's getting older. He has a son by the name of Adonijah, but Adonijah is his son by way of Haggith, right? So that's one of his wives. So David has several wives, right? So one of his wives named Haggith, he had a son named Adonijah. David also had another wife named Bathsheba, and by her he had Solomon, right? Just stick with me. Adonijah was older than Solomon, right? So as I said, David, he's getting older. He's weak. It talks about how he might have circulatory problems. So he has circulatory problems, so he can't keep himself warm. So he has a concubine by the name of Abishag who comes and lays with him to keep him warm. Not sex, but she just come, lay in the bed, and keeps him warm. Because again, he has circulatory problems, right? So that's Abishag, right? So we have David the king. We have his two sons, Solomon and Adonijah. And then we have his wife, Bathsheba. And then we have his concubine, Abishag, right? Just stay with me. It gets good. So again, I say David is getting older. He hasn't quite determined who's going to be the next king. He hasn't said it verbally, right? But he's had a conversation. Aiden, come turn off your alarm. He's had a conversation with Bathsheba, and he has told Bathsheba, hey, Bathsheba, I'm going to make sure that Solomon is king, and so you and Solomon are going to be safe, right? This is what he's told her in his personal time, but he hasn't made the declaration. Aiden, it's 12 o'clock. It's time to jump back on. So he hasn't made the actual declaration for the kingdom to understand, right? It gets good. So his son Adonijah takes it upon himself to have a big party, to have feasts, sacrifices, as if he just expects to be the next king. Now, mind you, David hadn't told him he was going to be king, but he just thinks that he's supposed to be king. So he was very entitled. Now, mind you, in this culture, when a king died, his oldest son would take the throne. So I'm going to give that to Adonijah. But David had never told him that he was going to be king. So it's still this air of uncertainty. So Adonijah having a big party. He is inviting the priests. He's inviting the prophets. He's inviting the city. Oh, he just knows that he's about to be king. So Bathsheba goes to him, David, Adonijah over here having a big old party, acting like he's already in line for king. But you told me that my son Solomon was going to be king. What's the deal? So David is like, don't worry, Bathsheba. As long as I am God's man, your son Solomon will be king. And as a matter of fact, I'm getting ready to go and let Solomon be anointed as king and make sure that he's able to acquire my throne. So once everybody got wind of this, the city gets in the uproar. It's like this loud noise. Everybody's like, yeah. Solomon's going to be the next king. So Adonijah at his big old party, he catches wind of this and he's like, what's all that noise? So somebody runs to him and tells him, Adonijah, I know you think that you was going to be king, but David just anointed Solomon to be king, so yeah, you're not going to be king. So all the people at the party that Adonijah had looking around, and they like, ooh wee, let me get up out of here. And so they left. Everybody left. And then Adonijah, when he looked around, ain't nobody there, he's like, okay, well, let me get out of here too, because I've been over here faking and funking like I'm the king, but I'm not really the king, and he didn't really call the real person to come and sit on the throne, so I need to run because somebody gonna kill me. He just gets paranoid, right? This story was so good to me. So fast forward to now. Well, fast forward current. So after all of this has transpired, what I just said. So Adonijah then already tried to get the throne without permission. So Adonijah comes up with this plan to go and ask Solomon's mother, Bathsheba, hey, Bathsheba, can you ask Solomon if I can have Abishag as a wife? Now, I have so many questions at this point. Abishag is David's concubine, right? The king who's on his way out. Why would Adonijah ask Bathsheba to ask Solomon? Adonijah, why wouldn't you go ask Solomon for Abishag as a wife, as opposed to putting somebody else up to it? You got to be careful when people start asking you to do things for them and they kind of make you play the middleman as opposed to them doing it for themselves. So that was one of my big questions. I was like, why wouldn't Adonijah go ask Solomon himself? Because Adonijah already knew what he was asking for was wrong. See, in their culture, when a man slept with the concubine of another man or a king, that was almost as if this man is declaring that this king's throne belongs to him. So it was like a sneaky, subterfuge, deceitful kind of way in which Adonijah was saying, hey, I want the throne still. And then on top of that, telemarketer, it was a capital offense for a son, to sleep with the concubine or the wife of their father. Like that was a capital offense in that culture. So Adonijah already knew that what he was asking for was wrong, and his sense of entitlement was just making him do crazy things. You can never get to the point in life to where you just feel like, oh, that belongs to me. Oh, that is already mine. You have to go through the process, right? So all the while, Adonijah, he's kind of envying the throne. He wants the throne. He's making it seem like the throne is his, but it's not his because David had not declared him to be king, right? So continue on. Adonijah goes to Bathsheba and asks Bathsheba, hey, can you go ask Solomon if I can have Abishag as my wife? And Bathsheba actually does it. I don't really understand why she would go I'm sure she was familiar with the culture. Like, you don't sleep with your father's concubine. So in my mind, I was like, Bathsheba, why would you even, allow yourself to be used as a pawn and a rook in this situation? Like, you really getting used in this situation, Bathsheba. Like, seriously. Stop letting people use you to play their games. Adonijah knew what he was doing. He knew what he was doing. So Bathsheba goes and she's like, son, Solomon, Adonijah wants to know if he can have Abishag as his wife. Solomon look around like, first of all, he gets totally upset. He like, you might as well ask me to give him the whole kingdom. I mean, he is my older brother. So Solomon gets so upset, and he's like, first of all, just think about it. If Solomon was crazy and he wasn't wrapped too tight, Bathsheba put herself in a situation to where she could have lost her life. What if Solomon was real cutthroat, and the fact that she even came and entertained the idea of Adonijah having Abishag as his wife? What if he was like, Bathsheba, off with your head? That's why you got to be sure that you can't have people using you in the midst of situations to accomplish what their will is. Because people are sneaky. Not all, some. And they will try to use you to accomplish whatever their goal is. They will try to manipulate you into things. They'll try to get you to kind of be, one of the players on the chessboard. So you got to be mindful of when people are asking you to do things. Ask questions. Like, what's the theory behind this? And begin to discern why people want certain things from you, right? So, like, even after all of this was done, Solomon, one of the things that he asked for was wisdom, the ability to discern good from evil. And when he asked that, God was like, I'm going to bless you with not only that, I'm going to bless you with wealth and riches that nobody before you or ever after you will ever see again. He didn't even come and ask for a whole bunch of materialistic things or, I want my enemy to die or anything. He was like, I just want to be able to have wisdom and to be able to discern good from evil. And God was pleased with that request. I was like, you know what? Watch out, God. Like, okay, God, I want some wisdom. Can I get some wisdom? And then maybe like a year or two from now, give up like $1 million or something like that. I mean, I'm just saying if you feel like giving it to me. I'm just saying, God, I don't know. But anyway, so after all of that, again, like I said, the fact that Adonijah was asking for Abishag, who was David's concubine, Adonijah was basically kind of saying like, hey, the throne belongs to me. You need to give it to me, period. But he had not been declared king. David had declared that Solomon was king. So Solomon was like, oh, okay. So not only is you going to insult me by asking for my daddy's concubine, and you're going to go and ask my mama to come ask me for the concubine. Like, bruh, Solomon was like, bruh, you got a lot of nerve. You over here cutting up for real. So Solomon was like, look, this is what we going to do. As sure as I am king, this request that you've made, Adonijah, this request is going to cost you your life. Solomon was not playing any games. Solomon sent his I'm gonna call it his henchman, Benaniah. He was like, hey, go take care of Adonijah. Benaniah went, killed Adonijah. So Solomon had his own brother, stepbrother, half-brother killed in that situation. And I was just like, wow. And then even after that, Solomon was like, look, even all the people who you had at your little party, the priest, what was his name? Abiathar, and all these other prophets you had, I want them kicked out too. Matter of fact, Abiathar, I'm not going to kill, but I'm going to exile him. Matter of fact, he can't be here no more. Your land is over there. You got to go. And he replaced the priest Abiathar with Zalak, right? And the guy Benaniah, who actually did the execution, became Solomon's head of his army, right? I was like, what? And look, y'all, it's about 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning and I'm reading this, right? So I'm trying to be quiet because my son in there asleep or whatever. But I'm like, this is better than any TV reality show, right? So for reference again, 1 Kings 2, 13 through 25, if you want to go back and you want to read this stuff that I read this morning, it was so good to me. So I'm going to wrap it up by saying this. What did I learn when I read this? I learned, 1, family can try to undermine you. I'm not saying be skeptical. I'm not saying just look at everybody all side-eye like, you trying to cause me harm. But know this, family can undermine you. So you got to really ask God, give me discernment and wisdom on what's good, what's bad, what's good, what's evil, right? Just because we share the same blood, you already know Cain and Abel shared the same blood. Joseph and his brothers, we know how that went. So family can undermine you, but ask God for discernment and wisdom in everything that you do. 2, be careful of the requests that other people ask of you. And when I say be careful, I don't mean that in a be fearful kind of way. I mean, weigh what people ask of you, right? Somebody asking you to co-sign on a car because their credit is messed up. Well, okay. How can I trust that you ain't going to tear my credit up too? And then we both be around here needing a co-signer. Stuff like that, right? Be mindful of the requests that people have of you, and don't be so quick to agree with everything. You know what I mean? Like sometimes people are people pleasers. Every time somebody asks them a question, they're like, yes, yes, yes. Sometimes I'm quick to tell somebody, you know what, girl, give me a day or two to think about that. Give me a week to think about that. Because some people will try to press you or force you into making a decision about something. And then everybody's pressing issue is not your pressing issue. And it's not being rude. It's just, hey, that's not my pressing issue, right? All right. Don't assume or feel entitled to anything. You are not entitled to life. You are not entitled to any blessing or any mercy that God bestows upon you. These are all gifts. Breath is a gift. Life is a gift. Having income is a gift. Not being sick is a gift. Don't feel entitled like I just should have. It should just be mine because I am who I am. I don't know about all that, right? Another thing that I learned from this, you can ask questions of authority, but do it in a respectful way. Like people who you would consider to be your authority, you know, your husband, if you're married, your boss, your pastor, anybody who you consider to be authority over you, you can ask questions, but just do it in a respectful manner. Like don't be mean, don't be condescending, don't be trying to show up people. Just ask the question in a nice, positive, good tone to it. Just ask the question. You can ask questions of authority. You know, there used to be a time in the church they used to say, oh, if it's the pastor, you can't ask him nothing. What he say is gold. Well, we're not in those times anymore because the Bible says that we should study to show ourselves approved, not listen to every pastor, preacher, teacher to show ourselves approved. He says you study to show yourself approved, that you may be a workman able to rightly divide the word of God, right? I love every pastor I've ever sat under. I love every teacher I've ever sat under, but I always go back and I check and I make sure that I get an understanding of whatever the word of God is, right? All right. Another thing that I learned from this is that culture can tell you one thing, but the king has the final say so. This one right here hit me hard, right here. Culture can tell you what it wants to around you, but when the king speaks, see, Adonijah thought because culture told him he was the oldest son, so he was going to get the throne. Culture told him that. But David, the king, had not told him that. So he was going off of what culture said when he really should have been waiting to speak to or at least hear from the king, who at that time was David. But we can refer that to our own lives. We don't necessarily have to go off of what the culture is doing and what the culture is saying, how the culture is acting. What did the King of Kings say about the situation? The culture may say recession, but the king said he would supply all my needs. The culture may say COVID, but the King of Kings said, by my stripes, you are healed. Come on now. Don't listen to the culture and don't listen so much to the culture that you miss what the king has said. That one right there took me, y'all, I was on this couch at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. I could have just had church all by myself. And I mean that with every bit of my being. So, let's see. I think he should have had, and the last thing I got from this was, have a discussion. No, it wasn't the last thing. Second to last thing. Have a discussion with people. A lot of times I think relationships get broken because we don't communicate and we don't discuss what's going on. I'm not talking about having an attitude. I'm not talking about coming and being confrontational. I'm not talking about coming and, you said this and that. No, keep your neck straight. You ain't got to do all this. You ain't got to put your finger in nobody's face. But you can have a conversation, a respectful, like my son says, their motto at school is that they must be respectful, responsible, and be role models. And I love that about his school, respectful, responsible, and role models. And we can be that when we have conversations with people. Be respectful, be responsible for what you say, and be a role model. Meaning if your kids walk by or somebody who looks up to you walk by, would they be impressed or would they be offended by how you're behaving in that situation? Okay? All right, so the last thing, actually I had a lot of points. Okay. Okay, this was another thing. Adonijah just felt like he was going to come in and take the throne without being given permission. If Adonijah would have played his cards right and stayed in his lane and wasn't trying to be more than what he was, when Solomon came into power, Adonijah could have been set up for success. He might have not been the king, but he could have been the second in command. He could have been the third. He could have been in the camp at least. He could have still been alive. Do you understand what I'm saying? If he would have just played his role, if he wouldn't have tried to get ahead of the process, if he wasn't trying to be more than what he was, if he would have just, okay, well, I'm the older son, but my dad hasn't told me that I'm the king yet. So let me just chill out, relax, and just see how this thing goes. But no, he wanted to hurry the process. I'm getting ready to go have a party. I'm finna have the feast. I'm finna have the sacrifices. And ain't nobody's king. He wasn't nobody's king. He was just the son of the king. But he wasn't in that position. Don't get ahead of yourself in life. Just take it step by step. Be easy. Go through the process and watch that thing work out for you. All right. Last but not least. Okay, I know I said that twice, so I wasn't lying. But this really is the last one. Sometimes you have to get cancer out of your camp. This one almost took me out. This one almost took me out too. Thank you, TC. Sometimes you have to get cancer out of your camp. When people have cancer in the real world, they will go in with a scalpel and cut it out of the body so it won't spread, right? So sometimes when you're in an organization, a family, a church, a business, a ministry, cancer comes. And so that cancer may look like disrespectful members, disrespectful employees. It may look like employees who don't really have the best interest of the organization. It may look like people who are fighting for position or fighting for title. It could look like competition between husband and wife. The cancer can take a lot of forms, right? That's why there's so many different types of cancer. So the thing of it is that sometimes you have to look at the organization and cut the cancer out. I'm not saying necessarily get rid of people, but you may have to shift where this person is performing or operating. You may have to have a long, hard executive decision type conversation with some people. You may have to really sit down and determine how are we going to cut this cancer out, right? Sometimes it may just be, I have a conversation with you, be like, girl, I don't like the way you talk to me. I don't like the way you treat me. I don't like how you call me on my name. That's an attempt to cut out the cancer, right? But some cancer is aggressive. And then you have to go from, cutting it out to maybe chemotherapy or whatever it may be. But the point of the matter is you have to get the cancer out or the cancer is going to consume the entire organization, right? So whatever your organization may be, whether it be your family, whether it be your friends, whether it be your business, whether it be your ministry, whether it be the people who you hang out with at the gym, whatever your organization is, when a cancer arises, sometimes you have to be the one who goes in and cuts out the cancer. You get the cancer out your camp. Right? Now, this doesn't mean throwing people away and, I ain't talking to them, I'm cutting them off, because, we got a culture of canceling people. Sometimes I don't have to cancel you. I just maneuver differently. I just handle you differently. I just position you differently in my life, or I categorize you differently. Right? So anyway, y'all, when I find another good story out the Bible, I'm going to come back and share it with y'all. But this was 1 Kings 2:13 through 25. Adonijah, David, Solomon, Bathsheba, Abishai. It was good. So I hope you enjoyed it. Look, y'all, it was better than the TV reality shows that I be watching. Well, when I used to watch them. But anyway, so just wanted to come to you. Have you a wonderful day. I hope everything is going good for you. If it's not, it's going to get better. I promise. I tell my son all the time, and for me too, when things ain't going good and I'm not having a good day, go take a nap. And he be thinking I'm like tripping. Great, Cheryl. I'm glad you enjoyed it. He think I be tripping, but I'm just like, look, one thing about, I don't know what it is about a good nap, but it will reset you to come deal with what's going on out here in life, right? If you at work and you can't go home and take a nap, go to your car, turn the radio off, put your phone on Do Not Disturb, sit the seat back, turn on your air conditioner, and just relax. You will be amazed at how that will reset you for all the stuff that we deal with on a daily basis. But anyway, so giving you a big old hug from afar. And until next time, this has been Tynisha loving you. Bye.